My name is Sandy Rothman. Jerry came into the music store where I was working in Berkeley and told me that I was going to be their guitar player. No, he said, we'd like to have you play guitar in our bluegrass band. He had his sidekick, David Nelson, with him, and their guitar player, Eric Thompson, had just quit the band. So they were looking for a guitar player. That's how we actually met. Where his interest in banjo came from is a really interesting question, because where did anybody's interest in banjo come from? I mean, there were so many of us in the kind of folkies, folk nicks, whatever, who were probably mostly strumming around guitars and that kind of thing. And then some people, when they first heard the sound of banjo, whether it was bluegrass style banjo or pre-bluegrass old time banjo, or even some other form of banjo like ragtime banjo, 4-string, that was in Dixieland music and New Orleans music back in the 20s. For some people, it just rang this bell. I guess that's an appropriate banjo term, and just said, I want to do that. And I think I read Jerry sing something close to that. In that article you're talking about, I quote some other people who wrote an article about Jerry's banjo playing, and he said, just the clarity, the brilliance. He described the qualities of a banjo, and he said it just struck him like, I've got to do that. And,
Yeah.
I think a lot of us had that same experience. But he was so ahead of the game, at least compared to me. Of course, he's a couple of years older, but he knew so much about old time music already by the time we met. And I really didn't. I was kind of into blues and folk. I grew up in Oakland and Berkeley. We had Jesse Fuller and Brownie McGee and Sonny Terry were around, and I heard a lot of that kind of thing. And I wanted to play that kind of finger picking guitar blues stuff, and then bluegrass kind of caught me like it did a lot of other people. But Jerry was ahead of this game. He had already played in several configurations of old time music, starting around 1960 probably. We didn't meet until late 63. So
Yep.
he already had this huge catalog of music he already knew. There was the Harry Smith collection. You probably heard of that.
Mm-hmm.
He'd already absorbed, he'd already inhaled all of that and knew all of that stuff. And he was kind of into the New Lost City Ramblers by then, and they were interpreters of that. And I think he was a parallel to Mike Seeger. I think he was our West Coast Mike Seeger, in that way, in terms of being really involved in it. The only thing missing from it was involvement in the culture, because he didn't, that's something he didn't know about. And later he found out he didn't really want to be involved in that culture. But that's a whole different story.
So you talked about a very interesting choice of words. You talked about inhaling something. Let's fast forward a little bit of time here and talk about the exhale. What was your experience watching Jerry's evolution into the Grateful Dead's lead guitar player, that style of guitar playing, and similarly as one of the band's primary songwriting contributors?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, one thing, it should be said that Jerry, I'll just say this on the side, that Jerry actually never stopped playing the banjo. I mean, anytime I was at his house, that banjo case was always visible. It was usually in the living room, right near the records and the TV, and he was picking it up all the time. And we had times of getting together over the years when the Grateful Dead was going, pretty much full tilt, and he was still playing the banjo. But yeah, I mean, it's a really difficult question in a way. He brought a lot of things to the guitar that, at least according to what he said, felt to him that they came from the banjo. He brought a lot of banjoistic technique to the guitar. That thing he does on the guitar of landing on a note and really giving it what he might call a personality. He put meaning into his notes, And
Sure.
when you're playing the banjo, that's a big thing there, because you can't really, it's critical. It's got all these critical details in it, and he'd come from that world of playing all those little critical details. And I think he brought a lot of that to his guitar playing. You asked about what is my experience of watching him become
Yeah.
a guitar player like that. And,
Yeah.
I was totally blown away by it. I mean, I used to go to shows and sit behind his amplifier and just, even though I didn't really know their repertoire very well, I would sit back there, just slightly backstage, and just could not believe what I was hearing. He had made so much musical progress, had gone so far into understanding music. He knew a lot before, but he just kept progressing. And I remember being at Jerry's house and seeing, jazz workbooks and all this difficult instructional stuff sitting around. He was working at it all the time. He didn't rest. He just kept working. A Little Glass of Wine, which is was a Stanley Brothers recording. It has about 6 or 7 verses. It's a story, it's a murder ballad. And the big joke was that we could never remember all the verses in the proper sequences. We usually get them mixed up, with the wrong thing happened before the other thing, the sequence was all generally off. We tried to remember it. But this particular occasion, when we went over to have dinner with Jerry, after I came back from Japan, and after he'd been just out of the hospital, in that everybody knows what I'm talking about there, those days when he was just out of the hospital. And I kind of thought maybe he would, the word was that he had forgotten a lot and was trying to restructure his mind back into music. And Mountain Girl said she thought it would be a good idea if we all played together again. Maybe it would help him remember some things. And I expected him not to remember things, but we decided to try that song, and he remembered every single word in the right order, which was amazing. I don't think he ever recorded that. It was just a big favorite of all of ours, of the Stanley Brothers.
Got it.
It's a beautiful sounding recording. I was thinking earlier today that if I had to pick just one word to apply to that whole range of thought, it would be improvisation. Because I think Jerry's life was improvised. He was spent that short time in the service, but outside of that, which was regimented, obviously, for as long as it didn't last. But I don't recall that he had any other jobs except teaching music at Dana Morgan's there. But he improvised it from as early as he could, right until he couldn't anymore.
Yeah.
I think he gave that idea out without talking about it. If you look at his life, that's a major feature, I think.
Yeah. Well,
you can do it you want to. Of course, in this day and age, and with the situation we have these days, it's going to be a little harder to do. How are you going to actually pay the rent?
Yeah.
We don't all have the fortunate situation that he did, which was to have a wonderful community of friends in Palo Alto there in the folk scene who supported everything that was going on. And when things got rolling, they were all still there. And that family is still the Grateful Dead family. And so he had a wonderful support network.
Yeah, and that I think that's exactly what we're celebrating today. So, and for the rest of the week plus a few days of programming that the community has been so generous to contribute. So I think, Sandy, with that, we will conclude our interview. And if you'll join me in welcoming everybody to day number 2 of the Days Between. Today is Bluegrass Day, where we explore artists like Del McCoury and the Infamous Stringdusters and Railroad Earth, who have been impacted and were a huge part of Jerry's life, and posthumously and so on and so forth. So yeah, Sandy, if you'll join me in welcoming the community to today's programming, that would be great.
I'd love to do that. And Jerry was a big part of their life. We could say that too. So yeah,
Oh, great.
welcome to them all. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Sandy Rothman, longtime friend of Jerry's, member of the Jerry Garcia acoustic band in the late 80s, whose content will resurface on August 9th in part of the 75th birthday celebration. So thank you all for tuning in.
That Del McCoury still sings, and he was the lead singer for Bill Monroe and the Bluegrass Boys in 1965. Around that time, for a couple years, he showed up around the same time as a young man named Bill Keith, and they both were there to try out for the banjo position in Bill Monroe's band. And Bill Keith was an excellent banjo player, really advanced, ahead of his time. He's one of the fathers of what we call the melodic banjo style, where you play complicated melodies across the strings. A lot of players do this now, and it seems kind of like normal. But back then, he was the first guy to do that, who actually could play melody lines, and they do it by going across the strings, and that's the way banjo works. So Del said, well, I'm not going to compete with him. But he told Bill I'm a good lead singer, and he sang some songs for him. So Bill put him on rhythm guitar, and put Bill Keith on banjo. However, there could not be two Bills in the band, so they used his middle name Bradford, and Bill called him Brad Keith. And when he'd introduce Del McCoury, he'd say Dale, so people thought his name was Dale. And this was a band that Garcia saw live lots of times, and Bill Keith was one of Garcia's banjo heroes. Aside from Earl Scruggs, he was probably the biggest influence on Garcia's banjo playing was Bill Keith. So that song is appropriate in that, and Bill, Bill Monroe never knew about Garcia, but Garcia was studying banjo, bluegrass banjo, really hard, and his dream was to be in the Bluegrass Boys. He was working his way up to like playing with Bill Monroe in that time, 64, 65. And then that all he kind of gave up on that for lots of reasons. And Grisman was a connection, and they went down south, and there's just a lot of kind of backwoods they didn't like long hairs and things like that. And Garcia eventually got kind of burned out on the bluegrass system because it's such a closed system of music. You got your particular licks, your particular things, and he decided to kind of reinvent himself and kind of put that whole thing away. And then fortunately it came back with Old and in the Way in the early 70s, and he took up the banjo again and got really good again, and we got to hear Garcia play like real bluegrass music. But anyway, of course, the Dead did this song in their kind of more rock version, but they certainly got it from Bill Monroe. And that's kind of the version we played.
Hi, my name's Cliff Seltzer, and I'm working with the Bluegrass Museum Hall of Fame in Owensboro, Kentucky. And we are assembling a Jerry Garcia banjo exhibit. And one of the many people that we're working with is legendary mandolin player, Jesse McReynolds. Jesse is the oldest member of the Grand Ole Opry. He's put out over 60 records with his brother Jim. He's released, he's had multiple syndicated radio shows, and I'm thrilled to have you on the program today. How are you doing, Jesse?
I'm doing pretty good, Chris. I had
Good.
to get our pictures lined up here where we can see all right. But it's good to see you.
Good to see you. When did you first hear of Jerry Garcia?
I heard we did quite a few shows on programs they had in Texas. Really, we played some out there with some shows, and I got to play on the big sound system out there the day they weren't there. But we was there one day early and did our show. But I think we was about the first group that played on the show, and that's first time I'd heard of the Grateful Dead, because if anybody didn't hear the Grateful Dead, they must not have been here because
I hear you. And when you played, was it a Grateful Dead show, or was Jerry with a bluegrass band?
no, that was the Grateful Dead show.
So you played in that giant wall of sound with those speakers that were, I don't know how many feet high, sound system ever created.
Mountain of sound, and but I always remembered that. But before, when we played with the Old and in the Way, Jerry was on that show with Vassar Clemens, and a lot of the group that was on there, that was in California.
Yeah.
And so in a old copy of the Music City News, where what's the boy's name, the mandolin player that wrote an article about me, and it's one of the best articles I ever heard. I read in the magazines back then, and Jack Tuttle was his name, and he did a real good job. And I was on the same show with Jerry, and we did the first Bluegrass Festival they had in California, and we was on that show. I didn't remember that we was on that show until I read that article in the magazine that Jack Tuttle wrote, and it dawned on me that I must have met Jerry on that show, because we were all out there together, and that was the first Bluegrass Festival they had in California, according to Jack's writing on that. And I said, well, I guess I must have met Jerry somewhere out there, but it did dawn on me that was the Bluegrass Festival that we played. I don't have the paperwork on it right now where it was, but it was around Los Angeles, or San Francisco rather, close to where Jerry was living at.
Did you play on many festivals that Jerry played on?
Well, that's the only one I know of. Yeah.
That's the one you know of. Well,
I got to looking through our schedule on the write-ups we did in different magazines, because I'm trying to write my book. Dennis McNally, who was the writer and publicity man for the Grateful Dead, and he was the manager and the booker of me when I did the Grateful Dead project. That was the last thing I did, and that's how I got to know about Dennis McNally. He was one of the greatest writers that that we had writing in any type of business. And we played a benefit show for Jerry Garcia in San Francisco with David Nelson. This was probably 10 years ago, close to that now, I guess. And oh, it was amazing what a reception we got on that benefit show we did for Jerry. And it was for some benefit, and his wife was there, his daughter was there, and all the devoted fans to Grateful Dead was at that show, and it was amazing thing.
In 2010, you put out an amazing record. It's called Jerry Garcia, Robert Hunter, The Songs of the Grateful Dead. And I have to tell you that I've heard a million different acoustic recordings of the Dead. And that record that you put out, my opinion, is the best of all of them. So how did that record come about? How did you go about choosing songs? And also, how did you go about choosing the players to be on that record?
Well, I said my wife was a fan of Jerry Garcia, and she kept telling me, she said, you should listen to the things that the Grateful Dead are doing, especially the guitar playing. And Sandy Rothman used to be Jerry's traveling partner, and Sandy contacted me and my wife, and he came to Nashville and spent some time with us. And I guess he was one of the people, him and her, they suggested that I consider doing a Grateful Dead record tribute to Jerry Garcia. And I said, well, that's what I got to thinking about. Did I ever meet Jerry Garcia? And I'm sure, because he was coming back from California, back east, and taping our TV show. And he was a fan of me and Jim and Alan Shelton, especially, because Jerry was a banjo player. And I didn't know that this was going on until 15 or 20 years later. And so I said, well, she had all the albums that Jerry had collected and the things they had done in the business, you know. And I said, well, give me some albums to listen to. So the first thing I heard was Black Muddy River. And I said, well, I think I could do that, but if I'm going to do Grateful Dead music, I want to do it in a way that the Grateful Dead fans will not turn on me on it. So you're not doing it right. So I got David Nelson, who was one of the first members of the Grateful Dead band when they started. I suppose it was the first, but I got David Nelson he got Stu Allen, who was a guitar player that's played with the Grateful Dead band. And they came to Nashville when I was working on the album. And I got Stu to play electric guitar and David Allen also. And me and David did some duets together, and it just kept falling together. It took me 5 years to do it because I wanted to do it in a way where the Grateful Dead fans would accept the way I'm doing this. I know other bluegrass bands had done some Grateful Dead albums, and but they just did it in a straight way. And I said, well, I think we ought to do this as close to the way the Grateful Dead did it in the breakdown of who was going to play on it and the instrumental. And Stu Allen, he could do a lot of Jerry's guitar playing, and so I got him to help me sing on a couple of songs, and it just fell together. It took a long time. I had a lot of encouragement of trying to do so. Why am I going to do something like this? Because a lot of other people had done that, and it wasn't too much of a success, I guess. But I just got to, after me and David and Stu got to doing some things, why we was doing it in Nashville. We finally got it out, got it together, and I said, now what do we do with it? So I pitched it to a lot of record labels, and nobody was interested in it, and until I heard about Professor Louis and the Chromatics. Was their name. But he had the record label in New Jersey, and I just about gave up on. I don't think I'm going to get this thing out because nobody seemed to be interested in it. But I made a deal with him he was the only one that really was interested in putting. He'd done a lot of stuff with Jerry, and we got to work in some shows together with him on it. And another name of the group was gosh, I can't remember half of these people, but we'll have to pick it up as it come along. But I got Stu. The guy with the and well, we made a deal with him to put it out, and that's where Dennis McNally came in. I got a hold of Dennis McNally. I said I need somebody to help me manage me on this record, and so he got me. I hired him to do the publicity on it, and he put me on probably every rock and roll radio station that he put the Grateful Dead on when Jerry was living, and I guess I was doing 10 or 15 radio interviews every day for about 2 years there, and working the Grateful Dead shows too.
Did that record change your life or career at all, or did you start playing any larger venues after that came out?
Put me in a role that I had never played before, and the Grateful Dead people wrote interviews on it, and I said, well, it looks like I've got the Grateful Dead people on my side. So I worked with Dennis about 2 years on it. He would do all the publicity, and we did a lot of shows with Professor Louis and a lot of other Grateful Dead fans. I just was thankful that I had the Grateful Dead people on my side. That was the main thing.
For sure. I think it was 1964, there was a famous trip that Sandy Rothman took Jerry down south to listen to all the bluegrass masters, and he had a reel-to-reel tape recorder, and he was taping people like you to expand his knowledge of bluegrass music, and there weren't a lot of LPs to listen to, so they were trading tapes back and forth, and I'm just wondering if that really led to the band encouraging taping in all of their shows, because so many Grateful Dead shows were taped and passed around, and that might have been a result of Sandy going down there with Jerry and taping.
Yeah, I'm sure must have influenced them quite a bit because I didn't know this was going on, or didn't know back then who Jerry Garcia was, or or Sandy Rothman, either one. But they made a lot of trips all the way from California to tape their TV shows, and they was really interested in Jesse at that time. And
Yeah.
I think they tell me they went to a lot of festivals where we played, and they he said Jerry was hesitated to come up and speak to us, superstars, I guess. So that's how I got to know about Jerry and the
He
things
should have said hello to you.
And I'm sure I must have come face to face to him a lot of times, but he was just another fan, you know. And I just went along with. Well, we had a lot of fans at that time that would come to the festivals, and he happened to be one that him and Sandy was hesitating to come up and ask us for an autograph. Because we were superstars to him. I don't know, but that's as close as I ever got to know Jerry as a fan.
Yeah.
When they come up and they'd come up and I guess look around and see everybody else getting autographs, and they said we don't want to do that, you know.
Well, almost everybody heard the record "Old in the Way," which came out, I think, in 1973, and it was the largest selling bluegrass album ever until "Oh Brother Art Thou" came out. But you had told me that you were asked to join "Old and in the Way."
I didn't listen to it very much. I heard it when it came out because one of the producers, I don't remember which one it was, they called us and wanted us to play on Old and in the Way. And at that time, we were so busy on the road doing our own shows and we were trying to record and work the Grand Ole Opry. And we were some busy people at that time, and we just couldn't go to California to do that.
Yeah.
Old and in the Way. I guess they'd done it, but I wish we had been able to do it. But it's one of the things that we had to skip a lot of things that we didn't have time to do. It was just
Well, I think a lot of Grateful Dead fans don't realize that, Jerry was first and foremost a bluegrass musician. And so many songs in the Grateful Dead catalog are based upon traditional bluegrass songs. And I wrote down a couple of them. Cold Rain and Snow, Deep Ellum Blues, Going Down the Road Feeling Bad, which I never would have guessed would have been a bluegrass song, and Sitting on Top of the World. And these were all tunes that have always remained in the Dead's repertoire. Did you ever play any of those tunes in your your concerts?
when I was growing up, before I even picked up an instrument, why I used to listen to of course, my granddad was a fiddle player, and my dad was a little pretty good musician, but he had a brother that played guitar and banjo, and he sung Deep Ellum Blues. And I used to go to my brother-in-law's house. He married my sister, and I used to go down there on Saturday nights and hear my Everett was his name, and he would on the tune he would sing and playing the guitar was Deep Ellum Blues. I always remembered that because especially when I heard Jerry do it, I said that song I grew up listening to. So, but they did all of those songs like that, Sitting on Top of the World and Deep Ellum, and Jerry was an innovator when it comes to going back and picking up some good old songs like that. like sitting on top of the world. And
Jerry was part of many bluegrass bands, and I just listed a few of them. The Sleepy Valley Hog Stompers, the Heart Valley Drifters, the Wildwood Boys. I think his last one was the Black Mountain Boys. Did you ever see any of those bands?
I probably did, because we played with so many different bands.
Yeah.
I remember a lot of. There's a lot of folk music bands in Pennsylvania that we worked with a lot of shows.
Thank Relics Magazine and the Rex Foundation and Rolling Stone and everyone else for putting this week on celebrating the life of Jerry. And I hope to see you soon. And you take care of yourself.
Okay, Chris. It's been nice talking to you.
Thank you very much. Right now we're going to do the Fiddle Player's National Anthem, because everybody that learns to play a fiddle is going to learn this first thing. This is Orange Blossom Special. I'm going to get some of my friends to come out. I got a lot of them to help on this. It's called Orange Blossom Special. Thank you.
about that, everybody? Bassett Clemens. All those great fiddlers.
Jack and Jill. Mama told the jailer, one here up, one cool down, leave nothing for the tailor. Just like Jack and Jill, Papa told the jailer, one go up, one go down, do yourself a favor. Did you say your name was Rambling Rose? Ramble on, baby. Settle down easy. Ramble on, Rose. I am gonna sing you 100 verses in ragtime. I know this song, it ain't never gonna end. I'm gonna march you up and down along the county line and take you to the leader of a band. Just like Crazy Otto, just like Wolfman Jack, sitting flush with the royal flush, aces back to back. Just like Mary Shelley, just like Frankenstein, clank your chains and count your change and try and walk the line. Did you say your name was Rambling Rose? Ramble on, baby. Settle down easy. Ramble on, Rose. I am gonna sing you 100 verses in ragtime. And I know this song, it ain't never gonna end. I'm gonna march you up and down along the county line and take you to the leader of a band. Well, goodbye, Mama and Papa. Goodbye, Jack and Jill.
Rex is unique in that it funds little independent, scrappy organizations that aren't getting a lot of attention or funding from elsewhere. Courageous people with an idea, maybe an outside-the-box way of addressing a need, who've seen a need, and just charge in there to serve it. And often they don't have much money on hand, and so our grant can take them to the next level. But they're the unusual, finding the niche kind of nonprofit organizations and people who are really making a difference by seeing the need and going in and serving it themselves. My absolute favorite thing about being with Rex is the stories that our grantees tell. Some of them absolutely harrowing stories. The grantees are courageous people, like a woman who went to the most notorious refugee camp in Europe called Moria in Greece, just a horrendous place with 3 times as many refugees from Syria than it is built to hold, and people who've crossed the Mediterranean. She's a longtime English teacher, retired in Oakland, and she goes to places to teach people not only English, but to teach English teachers how to teach English. So she went to this refugee camp where the so-called English class room, the classroom, is a shipping container. No windows, freaking hot in the summer, wicked cold in the winter, but there's 200 people lined up outside to learn English, because English is the ticket out. You can get an asylum hearing if you know any English. And yet as she arrives, there's just a chalkboard, no chalk, no paper, no technology, no nothing. She has to learn how to teach English under these circumstances, and she's developed a whole curriculum of games and dances and memorizing Beatles songs. Believe it or not, memorizing Beatles songs is a good way to learn English. And she figured out that she could record these as YouTube videos, and anyone in the world could access this curriculum of how to teach English in refugee camps everywhere. So she took a videographer with her from this wonderful organization we funded in Oakland called Youth Beat. They teach urban youth careers in digital media like TV and radio and online. And they taped her doing these exercises to teach people English with no supplies whatsoever. And then we paid the students at Youth Beat to edit these into a suite of videos that you can see on YouTube called Teach English Now, that can be accessed all over the world. So Charlotte saw a need and went in there. She's been doing it on her own dime up until Rex gave her a grant to just cover her expenses, to have an absolutely brilliant approach to a real problem in the world that we can help. And that is why, as Rex, it is so important that we're part of these stories. And anybody who donates to Rex or comes to our events, they're part of these stories, these amazing stories that kind of spread all over the globe. And that's what keeps me going, and that's what gives me hope.
Jerry Garcia and the Grateful Dead have shown a light and continue to shine a light on all of life's possibilities and potential. I was first drawn to the crazy traveling bohemian circus back on the East Coast. I was lured in by the power of the drum circle. My eyes opened to what was possible. The trance, the movement, the exotic, colorful people really made me feel like I was at home. Once I got into the music and the lyrics, it started to connect me with something deeper in my own spirit. I was able to realize I had a lot more potential than what was in front of me. And to this day, the music of Jerry and the Dead inspire the journey. Winter Wondergrass and Camp Out for the Cause have really benefited from all that I've learned on tour with the Dead, and all the music and everything that I brought in, the wisdom and the magic of the road and all the people I've met along the way. I'll never forget selling endless loaves of broccoli garlic grilled cheeses and a new pale ale out of California that I still like drinking today. The power of the Grateful Dead, Jerry Garcia, all the lyricists, and everybody that's been involved with that family continues to inspire and empower this generation and the next generation. Watching it evolve over time, and the different age groups coming and going, and feeling the love, that pure love, that sense of wonder and magic that was originally laid out by the Dead is going to be there forever. And I'm grateful to be a part of it.
Working on the new railroad with the mud up to my knees. Working on the new railroad with the mud up to my knees. Working for old John Henry, you know he's so hard to please. I've been all around this world. Mama and Papa and baby sister makes three. Mama and Papa and baby sister makes three. Drag me down to the gallows, boys, that'll be the end of me. I've been all around this world. Up on the Blue Ridge Mountains, well, there I'll take my stand. On the Blue Ridge Mountains, there I'll take my stand. A rifle on my shoulder, 6-shooter in my hand. I've been all around this world. Lulu, my Lulu, come on and open the door. Lulu, my Lulu, come and open the door. Before I have to walk on in with my old 44. I've been all around this world. Hang me now, hang me, so I'll be dead and gone. Hang me now, hang me, so I'll be dead and gone. It's not your hanging that I mind, but to wait around the jail so long. I've been all around this world. On the Blue Ridge Mountains, well, there I'll take my stand. On the Blue Ridge Mountain, there I'll take my stand. A rifle on my shoulder, 6-shooter in my hand. I've been all around this world. When I was just a little young boy, my papa said, son, you'll never get far. I'll tell you the reason if you want to know. 'Cause, child of mine, there really isn't very far to go. Baby wants a gold diamond ring, wants it more than most any old thing. Well, when I get those Jelly Roll blues, why, I go and get anything in this world for you. Down to the jewelry store, packing a gun. Said, wrap it up, I think I'll take this one. $1,000, please, the jewelry man said. Dupree, he said, I'll pay this one off to you in lead. Well, you know, son, you just can't figure. First thing you know, you're gonna pull that trigger. And it's no wonder your reason goes bad. Jelly Roll would drive you stone mad. Judge said, son, it's gonna cost you some time. Dupree said, Judge, you know that crossed my mind. Judge said, in fact, it's gonna cost you your life. Dupree said, Judge, you know that seems to me to be about right. Baby's gonna lose her sweet man. Dupree come out with a losing hand. Baby's gonna weep at home for a while, then go on out, find another sweet man, gonna treat her with style. Judge said, son, I know your baby well, but that's a secret I can't never tell. Dupree said, Judge, well, it's well understood, and you got to admit that that sweet, sweet jelly's so good. Well, you know, son, You just can't figure. First thing you know, you're gonna pull that trigger. And it's no wonder your reason goes bad. Jelly roll will drive you stone mad. Same old story, and I know it's been told. Some like jelly jelly, some like gold. Many a man's done a terrible thing just to get his baby a shiny diamond ring.
When they come to take you down, when they bring that wagon round, when they come and call on you, drag your poor body down. Just one thing that I ask of you, just one thing for me. Please get to me my name, my darling. And I say, shake it, shake it, sugar-free. Just don't tell them that you know me. Shake it, sugar-free. Just don't tell them that you know me. Thought you was a cool fool, never could do no wrong, had everything sewn uptight. How come you lay awake all night long? Just one thing that I ask of you, just one thing from me. Please forget you knew my name, my darling. Sugar-free, I say, shake it, sugar-free. Just don't tell them that you know me. Shake it, sugar-free. Just don't tell them that you know me. Shake it up now, chivalry. I made you at the Jubilee, and if that Jubilee don't come, maybe I'll meet you on the run. Just one thing that I ask of you, just one thing. Please forget you knew my name, my darling. Chivalry, and I say, shake it, shake it, chivalry. Just don't tell them that you know me. Shake it, shake it, chivalry. Just don't tell them that you know me. Shake it, shake it, chivalry. Just don't tell them that you know me. Shake, chivalry. Just don't tell them that you know me. Singing mangrove valley, chasing lightning. Maybe they wander from A to Z. Baby, baby, so pretty young on Tuesday. Oh, like a rock drinking demon-back tea. Tell me what's your matter. Tell me why you're whining now. Tell me why will you never come home? Tell me one good reason if you got a good one. Everywhere I go, the people all know everyone doing that right. Everywhere I go, the people all know everyone doing that right. Take my line and go fishing for a Tuesday. Maybe take my supper, eat it down by the sea. He gave my baby 24 good reason. Couldn't find any better one in the morning after rain. Rain don't come, rain don't go, you know. Stepping on the shopping cover, rain can find a cold, dark black picture. Maybe get a little bit dark before the day. Wingsters, tripsters, really cool chicksters. Well, everyone's doing that right. Wingsters, tripsters, really cool chicksters, everyone doing that right. You need not dump a lily off a jewel till the sunset. Ain't nobody watching us stand in your shoes. Wash your feet in the river in the morning. Everything promised is delivered to you. But don't neglect to be kind what you share with. All the winter birds are just singing for now. Hey, hey, love, go and look around you. Nothing out there you have not seen before now. Waiting in the water, you never get away. Keep on doing that right. Waiting in the water, you never get wet. Keep on doing that right. One-eyed jazz and the deuces are wild, and the aces are crawling up and down your sleeve. Come back here, baby Louise, and tell me the name of the game that you play? Or is it all fall down? Or is it all go under? Or is it all fall down? Or is it all go under? Is it all fall down? Is it all go under? Is it all fall down? Is it all go under? Down, under, down, under, down, under, down, under.
Fare you well, my honey. Fare you well, my only true one. All the birds that were singing are flown, except you alone. I'm gonna leave this broke down palace on my hands and my knees. I will roll, 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 make myself a bed by the waterside. In my time, I will roll, roll, roll. In a bed by the waterside, I will rest my head, listen to the river sing sweet songs just to rock my soul. River gonna take me, sing me sweet and sleepy, sing me sweet and sleepy, all the way back home. Well, it's a far gone lullaby sung many years ago. And mama, mama, many worlds I've come since I first left home. Going home by the waterside, I will rest my bones, listen to the river sing sweet songs just to rock my soul. on the bank's green edge. It's gonna grow, grow, grow. Sing along. fare you well, fare you well. I love you more than words can tell. Just listen to the river sing sweet songs, just rock my soul. Do do do.
One, two, three, four. Driving that train high on cocaine. Casey Jones, you better watch your speed. Trouble ahead or trouble behind. And you know that notion just crossed my mind. This old engine makes it on time. Leaves Central Station about 8:45. It's River Junction at 17-2, and it's on the wrong track, and it's headed for you. Driving that train high on cocaine. Casey Jones, you better watch your speed. Trouble ahead or trouble behind. And you know that notion just crossed my mind. Trouble ahead, oh lady in red. Take my advice, you'd be better off dead. Switchman sleeping, train 102, and it's on the wrong track and headed for you. Driving that train high on cocaine. Casey Jones, you better watch your speed. Trouble ahead or trouble behind. And you know that notion just crossed my mind. Get it, Andy? Trouble with me, you got two good eyes, but you still can't see. Come round the bend, you know it's the end, and the fireman screams, you know the engine just squeaks. Driving that train high on cocaine. Casey Jones, you better watch your speed. Trouble ahead or trouble behind. And you know that notion just crossed my mind. Driving that train all high on cocaine. Casey Jones, you better watch your speed. Trouble ahead or trouble behind. And you know that notion just crossed my mind. your speed. Trouble ahead or trouble behind. And you know that notion just crossed my mind. Driving that train high on cocaine. Casey Jones, you better watch your speed. Trouble ahead or trouble behind. And you know that notion just crossed my mind. And you know that notion just crossed my mind.
Chris Pandolfi, everybody.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Appropriately bumped that one up a little bit at the end.
Spirited. Man, I'm just feeling the spirit. Oh.
Hey there, music lovers. You're about to see a little video that Jerry Garcia and I made about 30 years ago. It's hard to believe that time has gone by so fast. This was directed by my daughter Jillian and Justin Kreutzmann, and it was filmed in a little nightclub in San Francisco in black and white. And there's some wonderful cameo appearances by some of our friends. The great master of deception, Ricky Jay, is dealing cards. Rudy Cipolla is a great mandolin player and composer. He's the bartender. Decibel Dave Dennison, our recording engineer, he's sitting at the bar, and maybe you can recognize a few other folks in there. I got a real kick out of seeing Jerry getting made up as a 1930s gangster, and we hope you enjoy it. And I just want you to know the thrill is still not gone.
Gone are the days when the ox fall down, take up the yoke and plow the fields around. Gone are the days when the lady said, please, gentle Jack Jones, won't you come to me? Brown-eyed women in red grenadine, the bottle was dusty but the liquor was clean. Sound of the thunder with the rain pouring down, and it looks like the old man's getting on. 1920, when he stepped to the bar, drank to the dregs of the whiskey jar. 1930, when the wall caved in, made his way selling that red-eyed gin. Was dusty, but the liquor was clean. Sound and it looks like the old man's getting on. Delilah Jones was the mother of twins, 2 times over, and the rest were sins. Raised 8 boys, only I turned bad. Didn't get the lickings that the other ones had. Brown-eyed women in red grenadine. The bottle was dusty, but the liquor was clean. Sound of the thunder with the rain pouring down, and it looks like the old man's getting on. Shack in Bigfoot County, snowed so hard that the roof caved in. Delilah Jones went to meet her guide, and the old man never was the same again. Daddy made whiskey and he made it well. Cost $2 and it burned like hell. I could hickory just to fire the stale. Drink down a gallon and be ready to kill. Brown-eyed women in red grenadine. The bottle was dusty, but the liquor was clean. Sound of the thunder with the rain pouring down, and it looks like the old man's getting on. Gone are the days when the axe fall down, take up the yoke and plow the fields around. Gone are the days when the lady said, please, Gentle Jack Jones, won't you come to me? Brown-eyed women in red grenadine. The bottle was dusty, but the liquor looks like the old man's getting on. Yeah, it looks like the old man. Is getting on.
David had come back from the West Coast to form Earth Opera with me. He brought the first Grateful Dead record and we listened to it, and Jerry was doing a version of Cold Rain and Snow on that record, and I had already been singing Cold Rain and Snow with Bill Monroe. So there was that connection. David and I went up the hill in Stinson Beach to Jerry's place, and there's Garcia standing in his backyard playing banjo as we drove in. And I knew right away, I'm gonna like this guy. I mean, we played one bluegrass festival, Watermelon Park in Virginia. And it became apparent that Jerry was never gonna have any privacy at all. I mean, where David and I could sit backstage and pick with Sam Bush and John Hartford at a bluegrass festival, Jerry couldn't. As a bluegrass band playing the bluegrass circuit would it'd be just too difficult.
Desert sand. One-eyed Jack the trader held some turquoise in his hand. By his side sat Rothman, his longtime Indian friend. He vowed that he would stay by Jack until the bitter end. Jack had gambled everything he owned to lead this wandering life. He might have had a happy tender loving wife. His hunger was for trading trappers' furs for turquoise stone. Anything the Indians had, Jack wanted for his own. Oh, the wind blows cold on the trail of the buffalo. The Navajo. I said, Jack, to run an elk, I'll gamble all my precious stones before I leave my body here among these bleaching bones. For now my time is drawing near, I'm filled with dark regret. My spirit longs to journey as the sun begins to set. We've raped and killed, we stole your land, we ruled with guns and knives. Fed whiskey to your warriors while we stole away your wives. Said, run an elk, what's done is done, you white man rule this land. Lay the cards face up and play your last broken-hearted hand. Oh, the wind blows cold on the trail of the buffalo. Oh, the wind blows cold in the land of the Navajo.
joker's wild, the ace is high. Jack bet the Mississippi River, running elk raised him the sky. Jack saw him with the sun and moon, and upped him with the stars. Running elk bet the Rocky Mountains, the Jupiter and Mars. And the sun was sinking in the west when Jack drew the ace of spades. Running elk just rolled his eyes, he smiled and passed away. Jack picked up his turquoise stones and cast them to the sky. He stared into the setting sun and it made a mournful cry. Oh, the wind blows cold on the trail of the buffalo. Oh, the wind blows cold in the land of the Navajo. In the land of the Navajo.
call you old and in the way. I hear tell he was happy, had his share of friends and good times. Now those friends have all passed on, he don't have a place called home. Looking back to a better day, feeling old and in the way. Old and in the way, that's what I heard her say. They used to heed the words he said, but that was yesterday. Gold will turn to gray, youth will fade away. They'll never care about you, call you old and in the way. When just a boy he left his home, thought he'd have the world on a string. Now the years have come and gone, through the streets he walks alone. Like the old dog on a stray, he's old and in the way. Old and in the way, that's what I heard him say. They used to heed the words he said, that was yesterday. Gold will turn to gray, youth will fade away. They'll never care about you, call you old and in the way. Old and in the way, that's what I heard her say. They used to heed the words he said, but that was yesterday. Gold will turn to gray, youth will fade away. They'll never care about you, while you're old and in the way. They'll never care about you, while you're old and in the way.
Must be getting early, clocks are running late. Paint by number, morning sky looks so phony. Dawn is breaking everywhere, light a candle, curse the glare. Draw the curtains, I don't care, 'cause it's alright.
The Rex Foundation had been in existence for some time, and it would really consisted of the members of the band and a couple of other people and Danny Rifkin, whose idea it was to do the whole thing. And it was named after our dearly beloved roadie of the past, Rex Jackson. So it already had a spirit to it at that point. But it was the band and it didn't include any of the women. So finally, at some point, somebody said, "Oh, we should have at least one woman on the board," and they asked me to come on the board. So I said, "Sure," because I had never been part of a foundation. I didn't really know how nonprofits worked, and it all sounded really interesting. And I'll talk about going to the meetings for a minute, because they all just lined up at their big Grateful Dead table, and mostly it was Danny coming up with great ideas to send some money to, but also we got to just shoot all the ideas down as fast as we could, and then come up with new ones. And there was a lot of laughing and ha-haing and so on. So it was really a hoot, those meetings. So to fund all this, they were doing huge concerts. They were doing 3-day events in Sacramento at the Cal Expo, and I mean, just really mega. So there was a tremendous amount of money actually coming into Rex Foundation at that time when the band was fully participating. So we really had some clout, So we sort of entered the world of nonprofits with a huge bang. The Rex Foundation sort of started just with an idea and a lot of giggling, and at first it all seemed like a big joke. Oh, ha ha! We'll give money to these people. They'll be so surprised. They're really going to love it. And then we got pretty serious after a while and began to put money out to interesting music groups that needed funding for instruments, and trying to support actually the movement toward better music. And I think that I love that. I love that part that we can go out and find somebody that, man, all they really need is a couple grand to buy a new instrument and a couple of drums, and suddenly they're working again and they're appearing, and that feels really good. Well, I say long live Rex Foundation. Support and become part of the solution for a lot of people. I think that right now in particular, we've got a particularly wide gap in the middle of everybody's income. There's a lot of people that don't have any money for anything, and a lot of people that have money for everything. And it would be really nice if we could get some of that working a little bit better together to keep our culture going, because we have so many beautiful cultural institutions in this country. Most of them we've never heard of. And that's what Rex Foundation really tried to do, was to bring those into the light and support them. And so this is kind of what we like to do.
This is a tune that was recorded by the Grateful Dead. We're going to give it a try. I always liked this song anyhow. Had a great opportunity to meet Jerry Garcia, actually, through my dad. Jerry told me that in 1963 he saw Bill Monroe and the Bluegrass Boys the first time he ever saw that band in California, and he said, "Your dad was playing a guitar, and man, that's my picture in my mind of the Bluegrass Boys." Pretty cool.
everybody's bragging and drinking that wine. I can tell the Queen of Diamonds by the way she shines. Come to Daddy on an inside string. Well, I've got no chance in losing this time. No, I've got no chance in losing this time. Stay much longer, Melinda. The sun is getting high. I can't help you with your troubles if you won't help with mine. I gotta get down, I gotta get down, gotta get down to the mine. Just one more night, I can't sleep here no more. Little big clock says 7:45, and you kept me up till 4. I gotta get down, I gotta get down, or I can't work there no more.
Pour me make a $5 bill, keep him happy all the time. Some other fella's making nothing at all, and you can't hear him cry. Can I go, buddy? Can I go down? Take your shift at the mine. Gotta get down to the Cumberland mine. Gotta get down to the Cumberland mine. That's where I mainly spend my time.
Unemployment got the Cumberland blues. You can't win for losing. Unemployment got to walk that line just to pay his union dues. I don't know now, I just don't know if I'm going back again. I don't know now, I just don't know if I'm going back again.
let you laugh, dance and cry, or be afraid at the trade you'd made. Maybe I got maybe I have a tune or two. Only if you'd let me be your world, could I ever give this world to you? Could I ever give this world to you? But I will give what love I have to give. I will give what love I have to give. I will give what love I have to give, as long as I if I had a star to give, I'd give it to you as long as you live. Would you have the time to watch it shine, watch it shine? Or ask for the moon in heaven too? I'd give it to you. I may not have a star to spare, or anything fine or even rare. Only if you'd let me be your world, could I ever give this world to you? Could I ever give this world to you? Thank you.
Blues Lucy is mighty light. She come riding at me ball all night. a real good time.
chateau. 21 rooms, but one will do. Looking for a chateau. 21 rooms, but one will do. I don't want to buy it. I just want to rent it for an hour or two. No mistake, walking down the street today. I made a no mistake, walking down the street today. I didn't want to be mean about it, but I didn't have one good word to say. Still ain't fade away. and